So I'm
Yeah.
Tiffany, and Katerina, she will be with me, and we will present our project that we named The Gap in Between. And we picked this name
Yeah.
because we want to fill the gap in between people like flying from maybe two living situations. Uh, for example, like in this case, it's for the Ukrainian refugees like flying from, sadly, this international armed conflict in Eastern Europe. But we also want to make them like temporary enough to be able to move around for and be used as temporary housing for people that been through example nature disaster due to the climate change, so example flooding or storm uh, and so on. And our ambition is to like also provide more livable space like in between like just the housing, just what's going on inside these four walls and a roof. Like we want to make the like spaces in between also a livable space, and in that way fill that gap in between two houses, but also indoors where you maybe fill the gap in between private two private spaces, and making it more like maybe semi-private space. So that's our concept like overall. But then we are having four key concepts. And the first key concept is that the model has to be working on water and on land. So we want to kind of develop models that is adaptable to be able to be on land and on water. And this is, for example, to be used by due to the climate change and be adaptable enough for the global temperature raise that is going on right now. And this make it also easy with the transport, because there is different ways. So you can transport the models by truck, but also by ship on water. And then the second concept is closeness to green space. And we want to plant or put new trees in the area, and this to provide like more space for people or like children especially to do more outdoor activities, but also due to the climate change to keep this type of spaces outdoors to be more a cooling space during heat waves or warm or hot summer days. And then we have the social interaction, and we want to we want to condense like the social interaction to take place in different certain places in this area. So for example, as the diagram is showing, is that we're having like a walk path where we want the social interaction to happen, but also between the house. And then we have some models in the housing complex that will provide more social meetings and more human connection. And with that, we want to like lower the social isolation among the refugees. And then we have the flexibility, and we want to make it like we have been planning the floor plans, so it will be possible to combine different models depending on the family constellation. So you can easily like take them apart and build them together depending on like how the family constellation is changing during the years, or like when life's happenings overall. And this gives it also like a very variety of settlements structure of like in an urban scale as well. And then the next slide, Karina will be talking more about like the urban scale and what the functions that we want to plan there and the phases.
Yeah. So on the side plan, you can see we are using two different systems. One is central, and one of them is linear. So we can fill, like with our houses, we can fill gaps in the city, or if the whole block of buildings is missing, we can build a new, a completely new block. Here you can also see the 3 different phases, how the houses are going to be built. We are starting with the houses on the water, which can be built very quickly, and we are building a bridge between the city and our project, and then these bigger central houses are going to be built. Okay, next one, please.
Let's see. Yeah.
Here you can see we began with the analysis, and we were we wanted to understand better who the refugees are, and we found out that most of the refugees live in Vienna, like the refugees in Austria, I mean, and they are mostly women with children, and then we had our 3 statements, like what is important for our concept, and it was we wanted to find a good compromise between flexibility, modularity, and sustainability.
Yeah. And now a little bit deeper into the floor plans. So when we planned these floor plans, we kind of went into a mindset where, okay, what type of family constellation or like constellation of group of people that could be living in this area. So we have planned different type of models or put them together in some way to be able to take this different type of constellations. So we, for example, have the grandparents that is based on 1 models, 30 square meters, and to give them like very easy access to their house or their homes, we have like make it possible to put this type of models on land and not on water. So this is like an example of how that could be made. And then we thought about, okay, if a family wants to move in, then maybe put 2 models together, and that will be 60 square meters. And this makes it also possible to be on land, but also on water. And then we have people that are maybe using wheelchairs, and of course, it will be easier for them to be on land as well. And then we have this very big collective of people that is possible to fit into this very like bigger apartment complex. And this complex is based on 4 floors, where the ground floor is more public space such as co-working, stores, laundry, also storage, and for like a room for bikes. But on top of that, the other 3 floors is for more bigger constellation, where they are sharing this length here. This is the dark pink, that's a more semi-private space. You have we avoiding having corridors, so we use that space to be like more living room, kitchen, and like just hangout rooms, where the light pink is more like private space, for example, like private rooms. Could be that you're sharing rooms as well, but we want to keep the spaces in between these 2 private models as more semi-private spaces where they can hang out, and also like that will provide more social inclusion. So that will be like 4 floors, and then we have like the first row on the water will be 2 floors, and then the last row will be 1 floor. And then in between this 2 building types, there is a walking path where that provides like social interaction, so people can meet there. We have benches, we have a barbecue place, we also have some urban gardening there as well. And why this structure of buildings is because we looked like how the project area looks today, and we decided to keep the existing bridges here that leads to the water, to keep them for this project that we are planning and use them. Yeah, I think that's it.
Also on this plan, you can see that we avoid private spaces. So we have kind of semi-private spaces where people can meet, like the inner yards, for example.
Exactly. We have like an atrium-ish in a bigger apartment complex. Also used as a cool down space during summers. Okay, should we take the next slide?
Yeah.
Yeah. And here is just an axometry of the area and the elevation, where you can see like here you can see example you can compare like the street like versus the inner yard, like how like the proportion of it on the long elevation down below. But also we avoided to like build higher than 4 floors because we did want to make like a lighter we want to create this more like not too dark spaces in between the buildings. So that's why we kept it to 4 floors. And yeah.
Also what is nice to see is that we preserve the view to the water. So also the existing houses still have a nice view to the water. And the more we go to the water, the lower is the density of the houses.
Yeah, exactly. And this elevation is, of course, like here. And then we have, this is another elevation that goes more like in this direction. And here is where you can see like how it lowers down like towards the water with the heighting. And then, of course, we had to adjust like the housing or the buildings like to this existing railways that's very close to the project area. And then we have the walking path up there, so you kind of have a view over like in 2 directions. And we have another elevation. Do you want to add something, Katarina, on this?
No.
No? Let's continue. Yeah.
And here you can see some more diagrams. Like for example, we looked at the public transport and where the bus station, underground stations are, and we also wanted to, and that's why we put the bridge there where it is now. Also, we look at that there are much more bridges, but they are usually not accessible for everyone. Like you have to go very up the stairs, and there is no elevator, or there's an elevator, but you have to walk on the like through the underground station. So that's why we decided to put there one more bridge. And also we wanted to connect the green spaces, the bigger green space called Prater and the Danube coastline. And in the right corner in the bottom, you see the structure of our whole project, that we have. We are keeping the cycling paths going through our project, and then we have the pier on water and the boulevard where the public functions are, and then we have these semi-private spaces connected to these piers or boulevard.
Yeah, did you talk about the transportation as well here on this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, and this is just a perspective of the walking path in between the 2 buildings, where it's very open for social interaction and human connections. Okay, now to the, yeah, so we will, as said, other groups as well, like use the prefabricated off-site construction, which makes it easier to build it in a fabric and then transport it wherever it goes. I think it's like 16 to 24 weeks to maybe build a model, if I'm right. But then like transport it with boat or like with the ship or with truck, and then build it up on the construction site. So our whole project area, it's containing in total spaces for 1,077 residents. And there is some numbers that we calculated for the different models and the different buildings types. And yeah, you also could see that we have 1,746 square meters of public space, which means like the ground floor of the very big complex apartment complex, and this is where we want to fit like daycare, laundry, tasks, and stores, and co-working space and stuff like that. And then yeah, this is how, like very briefly, like how the model would look like. We will be using like both on roof and on walls, like the OSB sheets, but also the mineral wool insulation. And then we want to kind of create a more organic building. So we decided to go with more wooden panels on the facade of the house, boat housing. And then this, so we'll end up this presentation with just a perspective of the inner yard in the bigger apartment complex. Yeah, thank you.